Hi there, my name is Billy Gamble. Today I'm going to be teaching you a 10-minute beginner flow. Since we don't have that much time, let's get started. Please come into a tabletop position. So come onto all fours, hands and knees, with the shoulders over the wrists and the hips directly over the knees. Even though we're in a tabletop, do the work of a plank pose. Straighten out your arms and press your palms well into the mat. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart, look forward, come into your cow shape. And as you exhale, press the floor away with your hands as you round the spine, dropping the head and tailbone down. Twice more like that. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart, look forward. And on the exhale, round the spine, lift your belly button up and into the back body. Last full round. Inhale, cow shape, look forward. And on the out breath, round the spine, lower your head and tail. Inhale, cow, look forward. Downward facing dog. Walk your hands forward an inch, tuck your toes, and lift your hips up and back. To measure out our downward facing dog, look forward and shift forward into a plank pose. Without moving your hands or your feet, downward facing dog, send the hips up high. And we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, look forward, shift forward, come into your plank pose. Downward facing dog, lift the hips up and back. Last full round. Inhale, look forward, shift forward to your plank. And this time on the out breath, lower all the way to the belly. Sphinx pose. Come up onto your forearms. So what I want you to see when you come up into your Sphinx shape is that your shoulders are over the elbows, your palms are pressing down into the floor, and your forearms are parallel with one another like railroad tracks. Don't move your arms, but try to pull them back in towards your hips to lengthen the spine forward and the heart up into the roof of the mouth. To get your legs involved, press your feet, press your toenails down into the floor so that your kneecaps lift up. Last few rounds of breath here. Get broad across your chest and collarbone. Full breath in. And on the exhale, lower. Bring your hands by your shoulders. Tuck your toes. And on your next inhale, move through a tuck toe child's pose. Sink your hips to your heels. Ground through the spinal line. And then come to a downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back. Bring your feet a little closer together and please lift the right leg up into a 3-legged dog. Flex the right foot, turn out the toes, bend the knee, and open up the hip. Think about what you're doing on the floor with the left leg. Melt your left heel down and hug the outer left hip into the midline. Could you lift your right knee up any amount more? Take a full breath in. Exhale, right knee taps the right shoulder. Step the right foot outside of the right pinky and lower the back left knee down to come into a lizard lunge. So you have a lot of options here. Option 1, you can stay right here up on your hands. Option 2, if it's available to you, lower your forearms to the floor. But that being said, if you're someone who's halfway between those 2 points, you could always put a block or even a stack of books underneath your forearms if you don't have a block today. Look at your right leg. Make sure that the knees going over the toes, and that the heel is in and the toes are slightly out. So it's almost like you're in a half squat. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Come up onto your hands if you're not there already on the exhale. And just step back to downward facing dog. Right foot is next to the left. Second side, bring your feet a little closer together and lift the left leg up into a 3-legged dog. Flex to the left foot, turn out the toes, bend the knee, and open up the hip. And again, I'm assuming you're probably feeling this mostly in your left leg and hip. But bring the awareness, bring your attention to your right leg and foot. So the outer right hip hugs in, and the right heel melts down to the mat. Lift your left knee up a little bit higher. Inhale. Left knee taps left shoulder. Exhale. Step the left foot outside of the left pinky and lower the back knee down. Untuck the toes, and then maybe stay up on your hands, or if it's available to you, lower to your forearms to some degree, whether that's all the way to the floor or maybe on a rock. For 5, 4, 3, for 2, inhale on 1, come up onto your hands if you're not there already, and step back to a downward facing dog. Left foot steps next to the right. Keep your feet at the back of the mat and walk your hands to a forward fold. Step the feet out wide, roughly match width distance apart, and come into a Malasana, yogi squat. So if you think about it, a lizard pose is like a half squat. So this is all essentially 2 lizard poses put together. Your heels are in, your toes are out, and the knees are tracking over the toes. If you have tighter calves, or maybe you have tighter ankles, and you're having a hard time keeping your heels down, you might want to go out wider with your feet. And that being said, it's okay if you go off the yoga mat a little bit. Press your palms together to drive the elbows into the inner thighs. Lift the heart and the chest up into the ceiling and take another full breath in. Forward fold is the exhale. Straighten out your legs and then fix your feet either together or about hips width distance apart. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, plank pose. Walk your hands to the top of the mat. Take another full breath in. Downward facing dog. Send the hips up high. So a downward facing dog, I think generally it's a pretty good idea to keep a bend in the knees. Straighten out the arms, press the floor away with your hands, and continue to hug the outer arm bones in. Look forward. And let's take a stroll. Heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, your way into a forward fold at the very top of the mat. Inhale finds your flat back. Hands on your hips, squeeze your elbows together, come all the way up to stand. Step your right foot to the back of the mat. Parallel your feet with the short edges of the mat, and to measure out your stance and straddle, reach your arms out left and right to a T. So your hands and wrists are over your feet and your ankles. Place your hands back on your hips and begin to squeeze the elbows together. Press your feet down, lift the heart and the chest up high, full breath in. And then on the exhale, bow forward. Once you have folded as much as you can fold, put your hands on the floor. And in fact, walk the heels of the hands back so that they line up with the heels of your feet. Bend into your elbows so you can get a little bit more depth in your fold. Reach the crown of the head to the floor, but draw the shoulder blades away from the ears. 2 more breaths. Inhale, flat back. Hands on your hips, squeeze the elbows together, come all the way up to stand. Step back to a Tadasana at the top of the mat, please. And on your next inhale, reach the arms out and up. Forward fold is the out breath. Keep your hands on the floor as you inhale, flat back. And on the out breath, step to a brief plank pose. And lower your knees down to the floor. Roll over your legs so that you can step the feet at the front of the mat about hips width distance apart. And place your hands behind you. So a couple options with the hands. If you know you're tighter in the wrists, keep the fingertips pointing out left and right. But if we're feeling pretty good about this today, turn the fingertips to point straight ahead. Reverse your tabletop. Press your feet down and lift your hip bones as high as you can. Maybe this is where you stay, but if it's available to you, if it's okay in the neck, allow the head to fall behind you so you can open up the front of the throat. Keep pressing the bottoms of the feet into the floor so you can feel the hamstrings, the backs of the legs engage. Last breath. And on your exhale, sit down. And bring the soles of the feet together and the knees out wide for a Baddha Konasana shape. If you're not familiar with the Sanskrit, essentially you're creating a diamond shape with your legs. Grab on for the inner edges of the feet. Inhale, lengthens the spine. And then can you keep that length as you hinge at your hips and fold? Could you bring your elbows to your calves? And it's not so much that you're like pressing down into the inner calves as much as the elbows just kind of work as an anchor or a dead weight, if you will, to help open up your hips. If this is uncomfortable, you could always sit up on a blanket or a pillow if you have access to it. Inhale, flat back. And on the out breath, come up into your seat. And find any sort of comfortable seat facing the front, facing your monitor. Close your eyes, sit up a little taller. To seal in your practice, please bring your hands to a prayer position at your heart. Guiding the thumb knuckles up and into the sternum. Please invite a full breath in. Open up the mouth. Exhale, clear it away. Thumb knuckles to your forehead, your third eye center. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Go in peace. Namaste. Thank you, yogis.